You have the job, the car, the house, but you still cry at night. Why? You scroll through your phone, smile in photos, attend fancy dinners, and drive home in silence, only to sit in darkness, wondering why your heart still feels so heavy. You're surrounded by luxury, but your soul is starving. You thought if you got the promotion, the house, and the recognition, everything would finally feel right. But it doesn't. And that's because what you've achieved might satisfy the eyes, but it doesn't speak to the soul. The world teaches you that success is measured by wealth, fame, and power. But your soul doesn't need money. Your soul doesn't crave cars or brands or followers. Your soul longs for its creator. It cries in the quiet moments because it is disconnected from the one who made it. The truth is, material success is an illusion if it is not accompanied by spiritual grounding. You can build the tallest tower, but if the foundation is hollow, everything will collapse. And so many people live like this, decorating the outside while the inside is crumbling. Your soul was created by Allah, and it can only be at peace when it returns to Him. If your days are filled with distractions, but your heart still feels numb, it is not a sign that something is wrong with your achievements. It is a sign that something is missing in your connection with Allah. Spiritual emptiness isn't about lacking possessions, it's about lacking purpose. When you live your life chasing this world, you may gain the world, but you lose yourself. When your heart beats for likes and praise, it stops beating for the remembrance of the one who gave your heart in the first place. You might smile in front of others, but only you know the pain that visits you when you're alone. And that pain is often your soul trying to wake you up. It is Allah gently calling you back to Him. When you've tried everything and still feel nothing, that's when you should try turning to Him. Not as a last resort, but as your only refuge. Because no matter how much you achieve, if Allah is not in your heart, that success will feel like a beautiful prison. The signs of spiritual emptiness are subtle at first. You become irritable without reason. You begin to feel anxious even when everything is going well. You wake up feeling exhausted even if you slept well. You find no joy in the things you used to love. You chase dopamine through endless scrolling, shopping, or entertainment, but none of it fills the gap. That is not depression. That is your soul missing the light of faith. And the beauty is, you don't need to book an expensive vacation or buy something new to fix it. What you need is already within your reach. Start with just a moment of Dhikr. Sit and say the remembrance of Allah, not just with your tongue, but with your heart. Cry to Him in your Salah. Not the rushed routine prayer, but one where your forehead touches the ground with sincerity, and your heart unloads its burden to the one who understands it fully. Open the Quran not just to recite, but to reflect. Let the words of your Creator soften your heart and remind you that you were made for more than just this world. That your soul finds peace only in the remembrance of Allah. There was a brother who shared his story after becoming wealthy at a young age. He had everything: international trips, luxury cars, a dream apartment. But every night, he would stare at the ceiling and feel nothing. He began questioning why he wasn't happy, even though he had everything he thought he wanted. That's when he met someone who simply asked him, "When was the last time you spoke to Allah?" It hit him hard. He realized he had spent years working for his bank account and not a moment investing in his heart. So he started small, one prayer a day, one ayah a day, one sincere dua. And slowly, the emptiness started to fade. He said for the first time in years he felt real peace, not because he gained something new, but because he reconnected with the one he had forgotten. That's what we need to understand. True peace comes not from what you hold in your hands, but from what you hold in your heart. And if Allah is not in your heart, then nothing you hold will ever feel enough. So if you feel that emptiness, don't ignore it. Don't drown it in noise or cover it with more things. Listen to it. It's your soul calling out. Return to Allah before everything around you collapses. Find a moment today, right now even, just to sit alone. Raise your hands and say, "Oh Allah, I need you." Say it with truth, with vulnerability, with tears if you must. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be sincere. Let your pain lead you back to prayer. Let your silence lead you back to the Quran. Let your questions lead you back to Dhikr. You were not created to chase this world. You were created to worship the one who made the world. And when you do that, when you live with that purpose, the emptiness disappears. You'll still have challenges, you'll still face pain, but you'll no longer be alone. You'll carry it all with Allah beside you. And that is the greatest form of success. So turn to Him today, not tomorrow, not when you get your life together. Now, because the heart that remembers Allah is never truly empty. Say Alhamdulillah in the comments if you're ready to fill your heart with the light of Allah. And if you've felt this void before, let someone else know they're not alone. May Allah guide us all back to Him, fill our hearts with His remembrance, and grant us peace in both worlds. Ameen. You wake up in a soft bed, in a beautiful house with a full bank account, and still feel like something is missing. You eat at the best restaurants, travel to beautiful places, wear the nicest clothes, and laugh in conversations. But when the lights go out, you lie there wondering why your heart feels heavy. This is not about being ungrateful. This is about a truth many are afraid to admit, that the soul cannot be nourished by the material. You can decorate your life from the outside, but if the inside is neglected, you will always feel incomplete. The world offers us noise, distractions, achievements, but only Allah offers peace. And peace isn't something you can buy or earn. It's something you receive when your soul bows down to its creator. When you stop pretending you're fine and finally turn to the one who knows the real you. That's when healing begins. That's when the emptiness starts to make sense. Because it was never meant to be filled by anything but Him. Look around you. We live in a time where people chase comfort but are more anxious than ever. People post perfect moments online but hide deep pain offline. Even in a room full of people, feel alone. Why? Because the soul doesn't find company in crowds. It finds it in connection. And the strongest connection you will ever experience is the one between your heart and your Lord. Without it, life feels like an endless search for something you can't name. Even when everything looks perfect on the outside, you know deep down something is off. And it's not because you failed. It's not because you're broken. It's because your soul is thirsty. And water for the soul is not in promotions, purchases, or praise. It's in prostration. It's in late night when everyone else is asleep. It's in those silent tears during Salah when your forehead touches the ground and you whisper, "Ya Allah, I'm tired." That's not weakness. That's worship. That's real strength. I remember a sister who shared her story of success. She had built a thriving business, had a loving family, and was admired by her community. But she said she felt numb. Every day was a cycle of performance. Smile, work, provide, repeat. Until one day she broke down in her car and cried uncontrollably. She felt guilty. She had everything yet still felt nothing. That night she went home, made wudu, and stood in prayer for the first time in months. She said it felt like coming home after years of wandering. The tears didn't stop, but this time they were tears of relief. She didn't need therapy or a vacation. She needed to be reminded that she was more than her role, more than her success. She was a servant of Allah, and reconnecting with Him brought a peace no worldly achievement ever could. We often think once we fix our schedule, or get out of debt, or move to a better neighborhood, things will finally feel right. But your soul doesn't wait for circumstances to align. It waits for you to return. You may be walking through the storm, but the heart that remembers Allah can remain calm within it. You may be surrounded by chaos, but if you pause, breathe, and say, Astaghfirullah, from the depths of your heart, light begins to return. Sometimes, that light is a smile you haven't smiled in weeks. Sometimes it's the strength to forgive someone. Sometimes it's just the ability to sleep without anxiety for the first time in months. That's the power of spiritual connection. That's what we're all missing when we feel empty despite having everything. The Quran is not just a book for scholars. It's your personal letter from your Creator. When you open it with sincerity, it speaks directly to your pain. When you recite it with your heart, it begins to clean the wounds inside you that no one else sees. Salah is not just a ritual. It's the most intimate conversation you can ever have. When you perform it with awareness, not rushing, not distracted, but truly present, your heart starts to feel again. And Dhikr, the remembrance of Allah, is not just for elders or those who've sinned. It's your soul's way of breathing. Just saying, Allah ilaha illallah, or Alhamdulillah, in a quiet moment can anchor your heart in a way that no motivational talk ever could. These are not religious habits. They are lifelines. So if you've achieved everything they said would make you happy but still feel lost, you are not crazy. You are human, and your soul was not created to worship the world. It was created to worship the one who made it. Don't be ashamed of your emptiness. It's a sign that your heart is still alive. Don't cover it with distractions. Don't numb it with habits. Face it, acknowledge it, and bring it to Allah. Speak to Him in your language, with your broken voice, with your fears and your guilt. Say, "Oh ya Allah, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I need you." That is a dua. That is the beginning of healing. You don't need to have fancy words. You just need a sincere heart. The world will keep telling you to chase more, do be more. But your Lord tells you to pause, to remember, to reconnect. And in that pause is peace. In that moment of stillness, where it's just you and your Lord, the weight starts to lift. So if you're ready to stop running and start returning, say Bismillah and begin again today. Allah is never far. It is we who drift, but He always welcomes us back with open mercy, endless forgiveness, and a love that no worldly possession can ever match. May Allah heal our hearts, guide our steps, and fill our lives with His light. Sometimes the most successful people are the ones who cry the most when they're alone, because the world claps for what they see on the outside, but only Allah knows what's happening on the inside. You can be admired by thousands and still feel unseen. You can be surrounded by loved ones, yet feel completely alone. That emptiness is not a flaw. It's a reminder that the soul isn't satisfied by applause, by salary increases, by new gadgets or titles. The soul finds joy only in the nearness of its Creator. It's a mercy from Allah that even when the world gives you everything, your soul still reminds you that something is missing. That pain is not a curse. It's a call, a divine invitation to reconnect with the one who created you, who sustained you, who has never abandoned you, not even for a moment. And when you finally answer that call, when you sincerely seek His closeness, the world may remain the same, but your heart transforms. How many times have you smiled in a photo, but felt broken the moment it was taken? How many times have you achieved something big, but the happiness faded within hours? That's because the heart was never designed to be content with the temporary. It was created to yearn for the eternal. Every time you chase something of this world, fame, beauty, relationships, it might satisfy you briefly, but then it fades. Because everything in this world fades. But what doesn't fade is the joy that comes from remembering Allah. That kind of peace doesn't disappear when your bank balance changes, or when people stop praising you. That kind of peace stays with you even when you're tested, even when you're alone, even when you're broken, because it comes from the source of all peace, Allah Himself. I once heard of a man who had everything, a respected career, a beautiful home, a loving family. People looked up to him, admired his achievements, but one day, out of nowhere, he gave it all up for a quieter life closer to the mosque. When asked why, he simply said, "My soul was tired of pretending." He explained that his heart was always heavy, even though his life looked perfect. It wasn't until he made time for regular joint gatherings of Quran and walked in nature making deck that he finally felt alive again. He said something profound. I was chasing life, but now I'm living it, because now I remember why I was created. That's what many of us need. Not more to do, but more time with Allah. Not more followers, but more faith. Not more content, but more contentment. Some people wait until life falls apart to turn back to Allah. But the wiser ones return while everything still looks fine. They recognize the warning signs of a drifting heart. They feel the disconnect and they do something about it. You don't have to lose everything to realize what matters. You just have to pause, reflect, and realign your life with your purpose. Wake up for Fajr, not just because it's an obligation, but because it refreshes your soul before the world begins to pull you in 100 directions. Open the Quran, not to finish a page, but to feel your Lord speak directly to you. Make do, not just with your hands, but with your heart. Pour it all out. Let the tears flow if they must. There is no shame in crying in front of Allah. In fact, there is honor in that, because those tears wash away pain no one else even knew you carried. It's not too late. No matter how far you've drifted, you can come back. Allah hasn't turned away from you. You just stopped turning to Him. But the door is still open. Always. Whether you've been distant for days or decades, one sincere moment of return can change everything. That's the mercy of your Creator. He doesn't expect perfection. He doesn't ask for fancy words. He wants sincerity, a genuine heart that says, "Oh Allah, I've tried everything and nothing works. I need you." And when that plea comes from the depths of your heart, the response is always there. I am near. So if you're tired of pretending, if you're done smiling on the outside while crying on the inside, if you're ready to stop running from yourself, then run toward Allah. Run to the one who knows your silence, who sees your sleepless nights, who hears the prayers you whisper through your tears. And once you reconnect with Him, you'll realize you never truly needed all the things you thought would bring you happiness. All you ever needed was to be close to the one who created happiness itself. May Allah heal every broken heart listening, replace the void with His love, and guide us to a life of meaning and peace. Ameen. You scroll through endless posts, each one showing a perfect life, perfect smiles, perfect success, and you look at your own life, wondering why your heart still aches, even though you have much to be grateful for. You have food, you have shelter, you have friends, yet something feels unsettled deep inside. That restlessness you feel isn't always about what's missing on the outside. Sometimes it's the soul quietly whispering, I miss my Lord. Because when the heart forgets its source, the entire world can be placed at your feet and still won't be enough. You were never created to be fulfilled by followers, money, or approval. You were created to worship Allah. And the further you drift from Him, the louder the emptiness becomes. It's not a punishment, it's a divine reminder that your soul is alive and it's longing to be fed, not with wealth, but with worship. Not with attention, but with dhikr. Not with status, but with sujud. The beauty of Islam is that it doesn't require you to be perfect before you turn to Allah. It just asks you to be honest. That's all. No matter what your past looks like, or how much you've neglected your soul, one genuine moment of turning back to Him can rewrite everything. The world may judge you based on your past, but Allah looks at your intention right now. So even if your prayers have been rushed, even if you haven't opened the Quran in weeks, even if your heart feels numb, just take one step. Begin again. Say Astaghfirullah, not as a routine, but with meaning. Whisper, La Allah, guide me, not out of desperation, but out of hope. You don't have to know all the answers. You just need to know where to turn. And Allah will do the rest. He takes the broken pieces and mends them with mercy. He takes the empty soul and fills it with light. There's something extraordinary about the power of quiet ibadah. In a world obsessed with loud success and public praise, there is unmatched peace in standing before Allah when no one is watching. Those moments, when you raise your hands in the dark, when your tears fall before anyone sees them, when you say Alhamdulillah even in hardship, those are the moments that truly heal. They don't show on your Instagram, but they transform your heart in ways no one else will understand. And that's the kind of peace we're all searching for. Not the peace that comes from achievement, but the peace that comes from surrender. You don't need to control everything. You just need to trust the one who already does. There was a young man who spent his entire youth chasing pleasure, parties, popularity, and material gain. But he said every night when he lay down alone, something inside him felt cold and hollow. One night, overwhelmed by that emptiness, he simply opened his hands and said, Oh Allah, I don't know how to be close to you, but I want to try. That night he cried for the first time in years, not out of pain, but out of hope. He started learning how to pray again. He would sit quietly with the Quran and just read a few verses. Over time, his heart softened. He said, I thought I had everything, but I was dying inside. Now I have less of the world, but I've never felt more alive. That's what Allah does. He doesn't just give you temporary relief. He gives you eternal healing. He changes not just your day, but your direction. If you're reading or listening to this and you've been feeling lost, disconnected, numb, then this is your moment. Don't wait for a tragedy to bring you back to Allah. Return in your strength, in your comfort, in your clarity. That's the best time. And if you are in pain, then return in your weakness, because even your tears are worship when they're for Him. Whether you are rising or falling, whether you're certain or confused, the path to Allah is always open. You just have to walk it. And the first step is remembering this world is temporary, but Allah is forever. All the things you're chasing will one day fade, but your connection with Allah will be what saves you, not just in this life, but in the next. So start small. Start now. Don't wait for your life to be perfect. Begin where you are, with all your flaws, your doubts, your tiredness. Say, La ilaha illallah, and mean it. Say, Alhamdulillah, and feel it. Say, why Allah, and believe it. Because the one you're calling upon is closer to you than you realize. And once you let Him into your life, into your heart, into your moments, the emptiness will fade. Not because the world changed, but because you did. May Allah grant us the strength to return, the sincerity to stay, and the peace that only He can give. Say, La Allah, fill my heart with you, in the comments. Because there is no emptiness in a heart that beats for Allah. There comes a moment in life where you have to stop and ask yourself a painful but honest question. Why am I not happy? You've ticked all the boxes they told you would bring fulfillment. You studied, worked, built a life, gained recognition. And yet, when the noise settles and you're alone with your thoughts, the silence is deafening. The smiles feel forced. The laughter feels shallow. That's the moment you realize it. You've been feeding the body but starving the soul. And no matter how polished the outside looks, if the inside is neglected, it will eventually speak up through anxiety, restlessness, sadness, or that quiet ache that no one else notices. That ache isn't weakness, it's the soul's way of saying, I need my Creator. And when you listen to it, when you respond with remembrance, with prayer, with surrender, you begin to feel whole again. Not because your life became perfect, but because your heart found its place. Every soul comes into this world already knowing Allah. Even if the world tries to distract us, deep down we all carry that spark, somewhere buried beneath stress, desire, comparison, and pain. That's why when you finally reconnect with your Lord, it feels like returning home. It doesn't feel foreign. It feels familiar, because your heart was created for Him. The Quran describes it as a light in the darkness, a healing for what's in the chest. That's not just poetic, it's truth. You can be sitting in the same room, facing the same struggles. But once the Quran enters your heart, everything feels different. Suddenly you're not alone. Suddenly the fear softens. The pain becomes easier to carry. Because you're not relying on your strength anymore. You're relying on His, and His strength never fails. A man once said he had everything: a house by the sea, a family who loved him, a successful business. But he couldn't sleep. He would lie awake, staring at the ceiling for hours, feeling a weight he couldn't explain. He tried exercise, travel, even medication, but the emptiness remained. One day he was passing by a mosque, and for no particular reason, he stepped inside. He said the moment he heard the Quran being recited, something inside him shifted. It wasn't a loud miracle. It was a quiet peace. He went home that night, made a simple dua. Oh Allah, I don't know you, but I want to. And from that moment his life began to change, not instantly, but deeply. He didn't leave the world. He didn't lose what he had, but he added Allah into his daily life. And suddenly, what he had began to feel like a blessing rather than a burden. This is what many of us are missing. Not success, not achievement, but the presence of Allah in our hearts. And that presence is not only for scholars or the elderly. It's for every single one of us. No matter where you are in your journey, Allah is closer to you than your own heartbeat. You don't need to memorize books to begin. You don't need to have all the answers. Just start with a simple, Ya Allah, guide me. Say it before you sleep. Say it when you're overwhelmed. Say it when you feel like giving up. Because even a whisper from your heart can shake the heavens when it's directed to Allah. And once you experience that nearness, once your heart feels it, you'll wonder how you lived without it for so long. We live in a society that teaches us to chase everything, except Allah. We're told to chase status, relationships, fame, wealth. But we're never taught that true peace lies in submission, that the highest status is that of a servant who prays in the last third of the night while the world sleeps. That the richest person is the one who says, Alhamdulillah, with a heart full of contentment. That the most successful life is not one with the most followers, but the one that ends with Allah saying, I am pleased with you. So no matter what you've achieved, no matter how many people admire you or how far you've drifted, turn back. Let Allah be your first priority, not your last resort. Let Salah be your foundation, not your emergency plan. Let Quran be your companion, not your background noise. The emptiness you feel is not permanent. It's a signpost, a message from the soul that it's time to return. Return to the moments of quiet Dhikr after Fajr. Return to the feeling of sujood when you whisper your worries into the earth. Return to the sincerity of dua when tears fall without explanation. These are not small acts. These are the most powerful tools you've been given. Use them, run to them, build a new life around them. Because the moment you make space for Allah in your day, you'll notice the emptiness begin to fade. Your heart won't just beat, it will feel alive again. So wherever you are in your journey, take this moment. Close your eyes, breathe deeply and whisper, Oh Allah, don't let my heart live without you. Say it with sincerity, say it with longing, say it with hope, because the one who hears you is always near. May Allah soften our hearts, refine our faith, and never let us forget Him, no matter how loud the world becomes. Say, Ya Allah, be the peace in my heart. In the comments if you've ever felt this void and are ready to fill it with His light. There comes a point where you stop searching outside and finally look within. You begin to realize that no amount of possessions, praise, or progress can touch the place in your heart that only Allah can reach. You understand now, it was never about the house, the car, the title. It was always about the soul. That gentle, quiet part of you that kept whispering, I need more, but not from this world. You've chased the lights only to find darkness. You've gained applause only to feel alone. And now, standing at the edge of that realization, you're finally ready to return, not to something, but to someone. The one who knew your pain before you spoke it. The one who saw your tears before they fell. The one who waited for you, even when you forgot Him. Allah never left you. It was always you who wandered. But now, your heart is turning back, and that's the beginning of everything. You don't need to throw your life away to find peace. You don't need to move to a mountain or cut off the world. You just need to bring Allah into what you already have. Turn your home into a place of Dhikr. Turn your daily routine into acts of worship. Let your heart say Bismillah before each task. Let your soul say Alhamdulillah after each blessing. Let your silence echo with La ilaha illallah. You were not created to impress this world. You were created to worship the one who created it. And when you live with that awareness, everything shifts. Your job becomes a means to earn halal. Your family becomes a trust from Allah. Your pain becomes purification. Your success becomes a test. Every moment becomes sacred. That's what it means to live with Allah in your heart, not just in masjids, but in every breath. Sometimes, it takes emptiness to finally recognize what fullness really means. And fullness isn't about what you own. It's about whom you're connected to. A heart that remembers Allah is rich, even if the pocket is empty. A life built on Salah is stable, even if the world is unstable. A person who turns to Quran daily is never truly lost, even when others can't see their path. The emptiness you once feared has become the reason you found faith. And that is a gift, because not everyone gets that wake-up call. Not everyone listens when the soul cries. But you did. You paused. You reflected. You turned back. And now, Allah has opened a new door for you. A door of peace. A door of purpose. A door that was always there, but now your heart is ready to walk through it. The truth is, life will always have its ups and downs. There will be trials. There will be days of joy and nights of sadness. But a heart connected to Allah doesn't break the same way. It bends, but it doesn't shatter. It hurts, but it heals quickly. Because its anchor is not the world, it's the Lord of the worlds. That's why those who pray, who remember, who recite, who trust, they walk differently. Their souls are steady even when life shakes. Their smiles are real even in hardship. Their peace is unexplainable because it doesn't come from dunya, it comes from their Creator. So, as this series ends, let your journey begin. Don't let the words just pass through your ears. Let them settle in your heart. Let them ignite a change. Begin your mornings with Fajr, not just as a duty, but as a sacred appointment. Open the Quran daily, even if just for one verse. Speak to Allah like a friend. Tell Him your worries, your dreams, your fears. Turn to Him in gratitude, not just when you're in pain. Make dua your daily therapy. Make Dhikr your quiet companion. Let the remembrance of Allah become your refuge, your home, your heartbeat. You may not have it all, but if you have Allah, you already have everything. And if you've been feeling empty, lost, or broken, then know this. It is not the end. It is the beginning of a better life, a deeper connection, a lasting peace. So fill the emptiness not with noise, but with faith. Not with things, but with Salah. Not with distractions, but with the Quran. And you'll find slowly but surely that the heart you thought was beyond repair is being rebuilt by the one who never stopped loving you. May Allah fill our hearts with His light, our lives with His mercy, and our graves with His peace. Say Alhamdulillah in the comments if you're choosing faith over emptiness. And remember, no heart that turns to Allah ever stays empty. Ameen.